All right, folks. Well, it's 3 after, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into our webinar for today. Hi, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tully Gibney. I am one of the real estate transformation consultants here at Northspire. I work on our West Coast team, primarily across California, but up and down the coast and a little bit towards the east as well. I'm excited to be here with you today to get you more formally introduced to our report builder and how you can get the most out of it. As a reminder, though, before we get hopped in here, I want to remind you Northspire is always here for you to support you, especially coming out of today's session. I think that you're going to want to have a lot of individualized conversations about what reporting might be the best for you and your team and how to get those set up. And so remember, you always have your real estate transformation consultants that are going to be here for you and happy to help you get these reports put into the most customized spot for you possible, so that they're really accomplishing what you need to do. We're here to be your partners and figure out what are the reports that we can stand up so that you're easily able to get the information that you need. So we're always here to partner you on that. If you have more technical questions, our concierge help desk is always really helpful. We have an average of 5 minutes to respond. That's 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. And that's a live person. You might get to talk to my good friend, Ben. He's excellent, but everyone else is around to help you as well. So please never feel like you don't need to reach out. We're always here to support you. And if you are more self-driven, I know I like to read before I ask anyone a question myself. We do have our knowledge base as well, over 350 articles. This recorded webinar will end up on there as well. So we're always building out additional resources there. So please feel free to take advantage of that at knowledge.northspire.com. Want to call out a couple recent and upcoming training sessions. Would definitely recommend. I think you're going to get some more out of the one that we did earlier this week, producing a world-class draw package. My good buddy Joe led that training. Would definitely recommend checking that out. We're going to discuss some draw package things today, but for a deeper dive on that, you can look for that recording. And then also, I think one that's going to be of interest to you down the line here, especially, is ROI with Northspire, articulating that value. The reports that we have are really going to help you draw those conclusions as well and figure out, where have we been saving some costs. So I think that what you learned today will be very applicable coming into that May 3rd session. But some other great sessions coming up as well as those in the past. Today's training agenda, though, is really going to be focused on creating new reports and templates, configuring those reports and their layout, and then automating that admin work of compiling and distributing that data. Ultimately, the goal of reporting and how it drives success is better insight and control, faster, more informed decision-making, and to improve your visibility, transparency, and confidence for leaders and financial partners. I think we all know, especially in this market, that's more important than ever, is really being able to impress your financial partners and keep on a good relationship with them. Our key learning outcomes for today are going to be how to templatize and standardize your reporting package, understanding how to level up your draw package you produce for your lenders and other financial partners, and enablement to create bird's eye view to granular transparency for your internal stakeholders. And so with that, I'll get us popped over into Northspire itself. All right, and we're here in our report builder, here in one of our sample projects. To get here, you can just go to Power Tools, Reports, Report Builder, and then I'll take you right here. So, excited today to show you how Northspire's Report Builder can enable you to quickly and easily create reports. Before Northspire, teams spend hours to days to weeks getting reports together, validating their outcomes and dispersing them in less than ideal formats that can be hard to read. With Northspire, you can leverage flexible reporting and save your key reports so they're just a couple clicks away and can be updated with ease. So one of the main things we're going to be looking at today is our template function. And so templates, you can see here, I've set up one. We're going to walk through how I built this together today. But this is a combination report that I've put together, which is the draw part that we're going to put together today, as well as the internal. So you would most likely want to save this as 2 different templates, but just want to show you how easy it is to pull up this report afterwards, and then we can just press generate report. So, with really just 2 to 3 clicks, we're ready to send this report again. Likewise, we can also get this updated in just a few, whether we need to select a requisition period in the past or just update it to our most recent requisition period, we're able to do that really quickly. We're also able to get this cleared out super quickly so that we can go through this step by step. Now, I wanted to focus on creating internal visibility first. We live in a complex world with ever more complex projects, and before Northspire, it can be hard to understand where everyone needs to be spending their time to maximize results. With Northspire, you can spend less time compiling and more time doing, thanks to our reports that will shine a light on where operational focus is needed. One of the main reports that I always suggest to my clients to build out first, especially when they're looking to build that layer of internal visibility, is going to be our executive summary report. And so before Northspire, you would have to round up all of your PMs, get them on the same page for them to create a project summary page. And most likely they're going to have to source from different spreadsheets, and those results, might be different. They might be calculating things differently across spreadsheets. Numbers could be derived in different ways. In Northspire, though, your high-level review of your entire portfolio is just a couple clicks away. And to show you how easy this is, we're just going to select this executive summary. It's going to be even easier for all of you. I have access to everyone. You're just going to have access to yourself. So I'm just going to pull up Northspire here and click Save. And to show you what this report is going to look like, we can hop over, and you're going to get this nice summary. To start off, we'll show you, hey, what's your total spend to date, what's your total remaining funding. But then you also get a breakdown per project, including information like your total anticipated cost, your net available funds, where your revised budget is sitting at today, any remaining contingency, any variance that we're observing on the project so far, and give you some other nice summary information like total commitments, exposures, and total spent to date. So this is a really great way to get quick bird's eye view of, hey, how is my team's projects looking? So definitely a favorite among the executive suite is this report, and can give them an idea of, okay, and the additional reporting that we're going to look at today, what is that next project that I want to take a deeper look at? I only have time to really look at one today. And so this is a great report to show folks, hey, where could that additional time be best used? And from there, the next report that I would recommend building for some internal visibility is going to be our anticipated cost report. Before Northspire's project managers lived in multiple spreadsheets that you were lucky if they spoke to each other in real time. With Northspire, you can easily see the anticipated cost report, which is where they live and breathe their projects from within Northspire. So our anticipated cost report is always that crystal ball into the future of what is the most this project could cost. And so here is really going to be that granular breakdown of what is going on with the project, that next layer down of information. And so here, another easy report to stand up. We can show some information on vendors per budget line. So you have the option to show either the primary vendors or all vendors who are impacted on that budget line. You're also going to have the options to turn off or on columns. So depending on what's most relevant to what your executives want to look through or what you want to look through internally. If we're really just focused on budget early on in the project and maybe there's not some invoices flowing in yet, we're really going to be focused on, you might want to turn some of these off and just be focused on these budget transactions that are going on. You can also hide unused budget lines, which can be especially useful early on in the project when a lot of lines aren't getting this information yet because they haven't been invoiced, contracts might not be in. Of course, you can always just have everything go through. And then you're also going to have this option to customize the anticipated cost report sections. Now, maybe you're early on in the project and you've already taken care of your acquisition costs. You haven't really gotten to soft costs yet. So the main concern is going to be hard costs. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and hide all of these. And then likewise, maybe you're not super worried about your hard costs contingency. And so you really only need to know the title and subtotals. You don't need to know every single thing about that. You could sum that up as well. And so you'll have the option either in these large sections or down to the budget line level subsections. Hey, do I want to show this information or not? So you have a lot of flexibility in this report. And we'll actually see this section in our draw section as well when we get to that later today. And then you'll see this included on a lot of reports, but you're going to have this include printed on date. Once you've selected what options you want, we'll just go ahead and press save. We'll also have this option for portrait layout on most of the reports. To show you really quickly what this is going to look like, it's going to look very similar to the anticipated cost report that a lot of you live and breathe in every day. But we'll just make it a little bit more print friendly for you. We'll extend that over multiple pages as you need to, but it's that format you all know and love from the anticipated cost report as you know it in Northspire. So this is really great if you want to be in a meeting, be able to talk about it, but maybe be unplugged from the computer. That gives you this ability to do that. And not have to be in the system, or if you're old school and like to print things out and mark them up, hey, that's an option too. From here, the next report I'm going to recommend that you check out is going to be our committed cost to date summary. Quickly putting together vendor information can be hard, especially when vendors have different reporting standards. I think, one of the most common issues that we run into during implementation and setup is, hey, my vendors basically use the same invoice code for all of their invoices as they come in. They don't really think in those terms. So, compiling that information can be hard. With Northspire, though, that analysis has been flattened. We've already figured out a way to get your invoices in. We've marked them up with a different invoice number to ensure that they're not just all going under, 1-3 or anything like that. And your cost to date by vendors are just going to be a few clicks away. So here, go ahead and get our committed cost to date summary loaded up. And this one's going to be really easy. You can just show all your vendors, or if there's someone that you're specifically looking for, you just need to check in on one vendor. You can do that as well. So maybe it's your GMP line, your general contractor that you want to check in on. That's something you can do. In this case scenario, I'm just going to say go ahead and show all vendors and click save. And then to look at this committed cost to date summary, you're going to get a great breakdown by the vendor for what's the information that they have by your subsection. So we can see, our acquisition cost, who are the vendors that are there, what's the contracts that they have in, what's been invoiced against that. So when you're looking for that information around what's going on with your vendors to date, really easy to get this pulled. We can see here, like all of our hard costs coming in for our GMP line from our general contractor and see how these are coming through. So all of that information, instead of having to spend days compiling it, ensuring that you got every invoice, double checking that you're not double counting any invoices, it's all just going to be available to you in a few clicks. Last report that I wanted to go over for the internal side of things is going to be our commitments and potential costs log. So this is another report which is going to be really helpful in diving in that layer deeper into some of the information around your commitments and potential cost today. So reviewing where potential risks is hard outside of Northspire. It's not a best practice many people have the time to leverage, especially when it comes to exposures. But in Northspire, you can track a potential change order from the first call where it comes in, where maybe some painting goes wrong, it needs to be redone, all the way to when that change order finally does come through. So this is another light option one. We can, include the printed on date, include potential costs only if we wanted to just look at our exposures. We also can include our net available funds and include a contingency summary. And so I'll go ahead and include those. And then, so now we'll have this overview of our commitments and potential costs. And so you're going to get a breakdown on the cost side. We can see, our contingency that's against that potential cost. Are there any uncovered potential costs? You can see an overview of the contingency, what's been used to date against our original budget, what's remaining, what's the percentage. And then we'll again provide that more granular budget line by budget line breakdown of what are the vendors that you're working with, what are the costs that have come in. And so this will give you more information and also cover that exposure side. So if you're pairing both of these reports together, both the committed to date and commitments and potential cost log, you might just want to use this as a potential cost log, but this report might actually cover both of your needs, and your team might not need the committed cost to date summary with both of these. So again, a lot of flexibility, not only within the individual reports, but how you're going to stack and combine these for your team's preferences and needs. So moving on from the internal side of things, would love to cover how do we start setting up a great draw package. How do we get information over to our lending partners and other external partners? Or even maybe we want to look at a draw internally first. And so the thing I'm going to recommend to start off with here is our project summary cover page. Now, we have a cover page on our draw request report, and I think for a lot of customers, it covers what they need. But if you're looking for something with more flexibility, the project summary cover page is really going to be your best friend. So here we can include some custom intro text. We can include financial metrics. And so you'll have all of the ones that you're used to seeing in Northspire on your anticipated cost report. And so you can pick and choose what's most important to your lenders. But you also can add custom financial metrics as needed. And that's also going to be true for project information. So whether it's something like the asset type, when the project started or ended, what's the construction type, or some other custom information that maybe Northspire doesn't support by default, but that your lender does need, we can include that. And that's going to be the same for our cost report. And you can decide if you want to include this or not, but we can include, budget. We can do a budget category summary. We can do a subcategory summary. We can hide unused budget categories. And then you're going to have this option to basically enable, again, what are these rows that you want them to be able to see? What's that level of granularity that they're asking for and that you're looking to give? We also can include contact information, so your name and number. We also can include a signature block for them to sign. We also can remove decimals if you're not into rounding. I know it's a highly contended topic. I'm a fan of not rounding personally, so I'm going to leave that off. And then you're also able to edit this report title if you would like. So if you want to name it something custom, that's an option for you. Now, the next report I'm going to suggest is one that probably more of you are familiar with, which is going to be our draw request page. Now, you can always put in pull a draw request from this draw request page. Now, I like the draw request page if I have a high level question about a previous or current draw that's happening. But if I'm looking to send a draw package out to one of my partners, this is the one I like because it's a lot more flexible and it's going to have some additional options for you. First off, we're just going to select our requisition period. You can pull multiple at a time if you need to off of this report. Just as an FYI, it is going to pull in the order that you select them in. So if you go October, November, they're going to pull in that order. From here, we're going to have an option to include all the draw reports, or we can customize these. So here, if we wanted to include a table of contents or invoice documents, we could certainly do that. The invoice documents is great. It's going to compile all the invoice documentation that we have for that period and put that into the PDF. So really helpful. And then I think another one that's usually most often used during internal review, but if you need to include pending invoices in the data inbox, someone's on vacation, but you want to look on an internal draw, it'll get improved on Monday, but you need to internally review that draw today on Friday. That's a really useful option. And then otherwise, we're just going to have these columns to approve about what we want to be on there or not. So you can get that level of granularity and the exact ask that your financial partner is looking for. And then landscape's another really popular option here. After that, we'll have some general information, like do we want to include payments in the table of contents, printed on date? And then again, we have this option to include the cover page. So maybe you don't need something as complicated as the project summary cover page, but you're certainly going to have this option as well, which still is going to allow some intro text, is going to allow a section for ACH information. You can include that contact information and include that signature block. So a lot of the same options are available to you here, but if you do need that extra layer of complexity, we have that for you with the project summary cover page. And we also can include the draw approval history. And then lastly, we're just going to have that customized draw section. So that's going to work exactly as it worked on that previous report. And so we can, decide if we want to show or hide a section. Sometimes maybe you're working with one lender for hard costs and another one for soft costs. And so you can decide, hey, let me go in and just be my hard costs showing for that lender. So a lot of options there. And then so what that'll look like when it comes together, we can see here, overview of where the project's at. I had this one rolled up when I had generated it. So we get a nice high level summary of where we're sitting across our three major costs. So you have that option, and then it'll build out everything else that you wanted. So Here didn't include any additional documentation, although your lender will most likely want it. So just keep that in mind when you're building out that report. And again, your real estate transformation consultant is here to help you with getting this customized to your needs, and leveraging these flexible options for you. So please feel free to reach out if you do need assistance with getting your report set up. So we'll go ahead and save this for now. And up next, a lot of times our financial partners do need that next level down on, hey, what are the transactions, or what are the budget transactions, or what are the commitments that happened this draw period that I should be aware of? Usually that would take a few days to compile that information, but with Northspire, it's going to be ready in just a couple quick clicks. So we can say budget transactions, select the draw period that we need, press save. We'll go ahead and grab commitments at the same time. It's going to be that same thing. We're just going to select the draw period, and all that information is going to get generated. And so really easy to access. Hey, what are commitments today look like? Let's see here, the rest of that draw request. But really easy to see, apologies here, our commitments this period, everything that came in. And then likewise, all of our budget transactions. So you'll see each individual budget transaction, what line they were on, what was the amount, what was the reason. And then same thing for commitments this period. Give you that nice granular information about what was the budget line and what were the details of it. Was it a change order? Was it an estimate that came in? Did we get a new base contract? What was the value on that? What's the description? So a lot of great granular information, again, available to you in just a couple clicks. Now, especially for folks who are working on either complex capital stacks across multiple partners, or especially for my affordable housing friends, source detail is something that is really, really important. So we have two great reports that are going to help build out your source information. First is going to be this source draw summary. And what this is going to allow you to do is just get a breakdown of all of your source allocation information into one spot. No more having to hunt that down across various spreadsheets. It's all going to be rolled up by lender in Northspire. So here, we're just, again, select the requisition period, and then we're just going to select some columns that we want to include. So some flexible options here for what's going to make most sense for what your lenders want to see. We can click save and then take a look at this together. And so here we just get a quick breakdown of that information, what's been pulled to date, what's the total amount, what was drawn in previous periods, what was drawn this period, what's that total funded to date, what's the balance remaining, and what's the total percent contributed to date. So get that nice breakdown of information. And then we're also going to have this sources draw detail report, which is going to be a per budget line level by partner. So if they really want to see what happened per line, we're going to have that as well. And this is another report that's really easy to get set up. So we'll just say sources draw detail. And all you're going to need to do is select what lenders you want this for. So I know sometimes they just want to see what they were impacted by, or if they're going to be later in the process, then what they want is they might just want to see themselves. And so you'll just select as many vendors as you need, select that requisition period, say if you want the printed date or not, and then portrait or landscape layout. And from there, you'll be ready to go. And then once there, again, we're going to have this nice level of detail per budget line, per lender, of what's going on. And so this is going to make up, I think, a really great starting point for you to start building your own reports. Now, to actually get this saved is going to be really easy. We'll just say save as template. You can see I had saved one earlier, but we can save this custom report. Clear this out. Say let's go back to create here. Select saved report. And then that report we just created together is here. And whether I needed to update that to my latest requisition period, or, maybe we wanted to look backwards and see how July 2023 was. We have some questions about that period. Maybe someone who was the project manager who was working at that time is no longer with us. And so we need to double check some information from that period. Someone new is coming over. You could go in and generate this report. Just click generate report, and you're going to have an email within the next couple of minutes to your inbox with all of that information that we just went over. So this is just a starting point, a lot of flexibility in the tool. Again, want to encourage you to leverage your real estate transformation consultant. They're here to help you with figuring out your reporting needs and what's going to be the most effective for you. Now, I know as an adult, it's a little bit scary to hear the word homework, but I do want to encourage you all to try creating a report template. Try a combined report to aggregate data from multiple of our reports. And then, action 2 is set up that executive summary report for one or more of the senior leaders on your team. See what information that they would like to have and get that customized for them and their needs. Again, a lot of flexibility in the tool to get that level of granularity that you're looking for. All right, folks. Well, that brings us to the end of our session for today. Don't have any time for questions. So again, we'll just encourage you, any questions or help that you need, please feel free to reach out to your real estate transformation consultant. If you have a question about a specific report, concierge team is great as well for those smaller, more technical questions. But if you have some real consulting you need to do, please feel free to reach out to your support person. But want to wish you all a wonderful weekend, and thank you so much for taking the time today.